can do this.
You try to, you rotated the screen, right? You rotated your screen, right?
Hold on. I swear to God, if my screen rotation lock is the reason it didn't do it, no. You know, I'm not gonna swear. I'm not gonna swear because now I feel dumb. It's not because now I feel dumb. Like, yo, I was literally Googling this whole time.
Glad you got it.
See. Okay.
We are live on YouTube, so don't swear yet.
Oh no, I don't. Okay, let me not cuss. I try not to.
Cool. Can I go? But cool. I think we can start so long. Just get to know each other and everybody. So, hey everybody. My name is Dylan Espiri. I'm the curator of Fak'ugesi Festival, a digital innovation festival based in Johannesburg, celebrating creatives that are using technology across Africa and the world. The festival focuses on digital art, digital music, animation, gaming, immersive media, and maker culture. And today is day 2 of the festival. If you missed out on the launch, that was incredible. Thank you for everyone that participated and showed up physically to the venue, and then also because we're going to have a few people in the venue, but thank you to everyone that showed up. And then also thank you to everyone that came online. Thank you to everyone that registered for the festival. Today's first conversation, which is the first conversation of the festival, we're going to be discussing the art of non-fungible tokens, based on the ideas of monetization, distribution, ownership, and all that kind of stuff. It's a brief conversation with some of the best people that understand this topic very well, better than I do, because I know nothing about this space. I've tried to. But the conversation is a dialogue around that, and then how do we get ourselves into this space so we can all thrive and shine as creatives around the world. With me today, I have Bronwyn Lace, Letabo Uma, Kwasi Dako, and Vintage Mozart. I don't know if I can say his legal name yet. He'll give me the go ahead. But thank you so much. His name is Liam Friss, yes. But thank you so much for coming through. How's everybody doing?
Great. Doing great. This is very hot here, but we're surviving. We're okay.
Cool. And then in terms of, I guess let's start with introductions. Can you hear us, Kwasi?
I can.
Okay. So in terms of basically introductions, I'm not the best at them, so I'll allow you to do that yourselves. So who wants to go first? I guess play a little game of who starts first.
I can go.
Okay, you can go to Kwasi. Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Kwasi. I'm mainly coming from a photography background, but I've sort of been interested in the way.
In terms of we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, I'm mainly.
I think there's a lag. Yeah.
I'm coming from a photography background, and recently I've just been sort of interested in how I can add a more moving element to photographs, which are usually like still images. And so I've been exploring things like memes and GIFs, and just their ability to just sometimes tell an emotion or tell a story with just a few seconds of movement. And thinking of doing like and sell it. And I totally been wondering how do you make money off of that for something that is so common and it's for like very public use. And that's how I discovered NFTs. And so yeah, I'm still learning about it, and I hope to learn more as we speak.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think there's a bit of lag, but I think we caught most of it.
Yeah.
So who wants to go next? Bronwyn, you can go next, I guess. Okay, let's how you want to go next.
Okay, yeah. My name is Letawo Huma. I'm a digital artist from Pretoria, currently still based in Pretoria. I've been an artist for like 5 years. The first 2 years of my career, I just solely like focused like in the traditional art space, and then I transitioned into like the digital art space. So like that's what I'm like doing now, just like solely focusing on like digital art. My work is really just about life in general. Like I use my work as like a visual diary of just like the human experience through like my eyes or through the eyes of like a young African woman, really. And yeah, that's me. I actually found out about NFTs like last year in like October. A friend of mine introduced me to them, and yeah, I'm still learning. I feel like I've been in the space for a very short time, but like there's just so much information that you learn on a daily basis. You just sometimes kind of feel like you don't even know anything any longer. But I'm really enjoying the space. I love the space, and yeah, thanks.
Cool. Bron, you go next?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, and thanks for having the Center for the Less Good Idea. We're a cross multidisciplinary art space, which is about incubating new ideas. So the less good idea is not about bad ideas, but it's actually about the idea that comes after the good idea. The idea that comes about once you really begin to work. And as I think as artists, we all know that as soon as the idea starts to meet the real world and starts to meet the conditions of the real world, it has to begin to change. And that's really where things get exciting. And particularly when you're working collaboratively, or you're working with tech, or you're working with elements outside of your control, the control of your hand-eye kind of coordination, you really have to learn to embrace the ideas that sit on the periphery a lot of the time, because they are often those things that surprise you most. So that's what the center is. It's a space that I co-founded in 2016 with William Kentridge, an artist who's well known for working across many disciplines, and who's also delved into some really interesting digital and electronic art in recent years. And the project in particular that links to the NFT discussion is one that's called The Long Minute. And so last year, in the height of the pandemic, actually in response to the first lockdown in South Africa, we conceptualized a kind of a call, a test, where we sent a message out to the 400 odd artists from various disciplines who've worked with the Center for the Less Good Idea thus far. And we said to them, you know, what's happening in your homes, your studios, your minds, your bodies right now in response to this kind of unprecedented moment? And people began to respond. We asked them to send us 1 minute of what was happening. And we just started to get these exquisite miniature artworks, these things that were, you know, where you've got a painter who's never worked with a camera before, finding a way to translate that and send it through. And then as a curator, I had this opportunity to begin dialogues between people who would never otherwise have met. I'm based in Vienna, Austria, as of 2019. And so there's a kind of broader international and European network that's being built for the center. And so suddenly there was the kind of cross-pollination of minute-long artworks that we only ever intended for Instagram, to be honest. We saw Instagram in the moments of lockdown. We thought we would do it for 21 days because that's how long they said the initial lockdown was. We did it for 121 days. So we produced that many minutes, and we thought of Instagram as our stage and our gallery and our museum and everything. And how do we get the voices of artists out there in this time when we're really muted because of the physical isolation? And what was fascinating was that only after our first 50 long minutes were we invited by a major museum, Kunsthaus Bregenz, it sits on the border of Switzerland, Austria and Germany. And they were following us. We didn't realize that, but they invited us to actually bring these long minutes as video and film works into a major exhibition last year, as they were opening up for the first time. And now we've been approached by a group of kind of strategists, field leaders in marketing, and in kind of I think entrepreneurial kind of change leaders, to think about the long minutes as NFTs. And so it's very new to me as an idea. I've been reading, I think I'm deeply confused, but also hugely intrigued by what blockchain means, what unique in the digital realm can really constitute, and what the opportunities are here for artists to really begin to represent themselves, and keep reaping the benefits of what they do on a financial level, in a way that many artists can't when it comes to musicians and visual artists, and that sort of selling their work and then losing control of it. So those are the things that we're working with right now.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you. Liam?
Hey guys, my name is Liam, also commonly known as Vintage Mozart by people. I am a digital collage artist that specializes in Afrofuturism and Afro-Surrealism for like techniques. I'm one of the co-founders of the African NFT community, and I am one of the project managers for Umbadaima that is also with the Black NFT community. So we do like African NFT community. Just to explain, I'm one of the co-founders with Dark Mist. He's from Ghana, and I think you should check him out as well. And with Black NFT Art, it was founded by Iris Nevins and Omar. And I think it's Omar Desiree, right? And we do basically artist promotion and platforms for Black and underprivileged artists within the space. And African NFT does the exact same thing, but the goal for African NFT was more of a community aspect, like when it started to get a group of artists to learn about the blockchain, share their experiences with one another, and eliminate the fear of loneliness, like when I entered the space as well. I'm currently based in Harare, Zimbabwe, and I'm from Zimbabwe. And I first came in contact with the NFT space January, I believe. I was following Letabo like via social media panels, and I just saw her talking about it like more frequently. And I think it was she did an interview with Visa, and it was like on YouTube, and then it was so detailed the way she explained it. And it was like at that moment, I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. It was like, maybe this is the next step, because I'd been doing digital art for like a decade. And I was just wondering, I was like one of those people, I didn't find much success in the space as well. Like I never had a sale before the NFT space as well. So I wasn't a person in any print mediums or any single thing, but that's what I can say on like how I got introduced into the space. And then how I continued into the space is the common saying that you come for the ETH, but you stay with the community. And I'm one of the very, very, very fortunate people that has a few hundred and a few thousand, depending on the platform that you're looking on, that support me, and they support every single African artist. And we grow, share and learn with one another each and every single day. And I think Letabo actually said it, like the space, I've been in it, I would say officially since like February. Each day and each month has its own different challenges, and it feels like time moves differently in the NFT space, because there's all these trends. Yeah, you always need to like follow the trends and know what you're going, and you go through a lot of monumental moments and a lot of heartbreak, but it's an exciting roller coaster, and that's what I can say on that. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the introductions. I mean, let's start with Letabo. You are the super expert here on what is an NFT. So what is an NFT in 2 seconds, basically?
Just shortly, like an NFT is basically just a certificate of proof of ownership of a digital item. Like it just certifies a digital item. So it certifies the ownership of a digital item, right? And yeah, that's the shortest way I can put it. It's stored on the blockchain. And yeah, the blockchain is essentially just a technology where we could say like it's a technology where it records and almost like tracks the movements of like digital items. And it's useful because of the fact that number one, it's public, so literally everyone can see the movement of digital items. Doesn't matter who has it and whose wallet it's in. And number two, no one can like also delete anything like on the blockchain. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's NFTs in
In a
short.
nutshell.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess to come back to Liam, someone asked me, is it all worth it? You both you I think and both you and Letabo are very well versed in this. Is it all worth it? That's a simple question as that. Yeah.
Let's can answer first. For me, I look at it in the perspective that I went half a decade of putting my art on Instagram and getting nothing for it but likes and creating it. And I went a decade of improving my craft and trying to figure out how I'm going to make it or break it into the space because by profession, I'm an advertising designer, right? That's what I went to university and everything for. And is it worth it? I really do think so. I mean, for the first time in your life, I think the greatest thing is that artists now can get status in a very, very different way. You don't need the gallery because the gallery is you and you are presenting to it. Like you have your own opportunity on curating your own artwork, the pace of how your artwork comes out. And I think the most exciting thing is I can't really speak because I've never been I wasn't successful in the fine art world. And I don't think I'm successful now. I still think there's room for growth. But what I can say is the coolest thing is talking to collectors and hearing people's opinions on why they purchased your work, why they invested in your work, and why they value your work. So it is really, really, really cool. That little level of interaction. That's why I think it's worth it. And then the second thing I could say is I never saw myself in my entire life purchasing someone's work. And it is probably the greatest feeling in the world when you interact. Like I never saw myself buying JPEGs. And then now I'm there, and then you get that little reaction of someone saying, "Oh my God, you bought my piece." And then before you know it, you're running out of ETH and you just want to make more art so you can go and get other people's art. Like it's a breathtaking moment. Like it's just a moment of excitement. So that's why I can say it's totally worth it. Like the most exciting moment I've had in like the last month. I've been like a fan of Letabo, and it's not just the screenshot and the fact that I have a piece of hers in my gallery. I can take that to my grave and just say, "Hey, yo, I own like a piece like of like her work." It was like such a special moment for like myself as being a fan. And it's like, think of it as a way that you get an original CD of your favorite artist. And that's the way I think of it.
Okay. That's amazing. And for you, Kwasi, you mentioned that you're not necessarily well versed into it, but you're super getting into it and really basically not necessarily at Letabo and Liam's space and stuff in terms of the understanding of it. What's been your journey like getting into this NFT space? What are some of the challenges and opportunities that you're seeing in it? Can you hear me, Kwasi? You're muted.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think so far, also because most of these when they come, let me give you an example. When I reposted the poster for this conversation, and it had the NFT hashtag, and within some few seconds, you have all these burner accounts sending me, "Oh, you are interested in NFTs? Go here, follow this page. You're interested in NFT. This person is having this auction," and it feels like with everything that comes fresh and people begin to see value in it, everybody's it's sort of like a gold rush where everybody is just like rushing into it at once, and there's so much information. So for me currently now, I would say one of the challenges is filtering all of these noise and all of these opinions that are coming about it, and just also trying to understand it before. I haven't actually minted my first work yet. I am very much interested in NFTs, but I want to understand how it works in the long term, and not just because it's the freshest thing on the block and everybody is just rushing to be part of it. So I'm still sort of chilling to understand it
Okay, we lost you there, Kwasi. Okay, we lost him completely. I think it's lag. I'll come to you, Bronwyn. In terms of the space, you mentioned that you guys worked with to create all of this work, this 1 minute clips, basically. Were you part of the process of minting the work itself, or how was that journey for you, discovering this landscape, basically?
I was. It was an interesting exercise in spreading the word, which was initially, a couple of emails out to, as I said, the artists that we're connected to, and having a number of people respond and come back with ideas. And as is always the case at the center, I was the initial animateur for the center, so that person responsible for kind of holding the space. And we deliberately don't use words or have terminology for the core roles of the people who keep the center alive, that are sort of traditional. So we're not interested in directors and in people who are going to be determining what the artists are doing. At the end of the day, the center is about giving space and giving the benefit of the doubt to artists who want to test new ideas. So people were sending me stuff, and I was certainly there as a mirror, as a kind of a reflector, somebody to bounce ideas off of. I was receiving things and enthusiastic, introducing them to people that I thought that would, perhaps help grow the idea. But then it got its own momentum, as things do online. And, I think I was kind of like 11 days into posting. So it was like the 11th long minute, and I was sort of thinking, this will go the 21 days. This is cool. We're getting, and then I just started to receive sort of waves of people sending me what they were doing, and they were from all over, people we'd never interacted with. So we shared work from all over the world, and it was really interesting to see that no matter where they were doing something kind of, they were having similar impulses and similar kinds of conversations. So yeah, that curation was interesting. And I think, it's the reason it makes sense to us now to sort of think about what some of these long minutes might look like as NFTs is because this was a collaborative approach to making a series of miniature films, and it was kind of untested, for ourselves at least. Like, what does miniature film look like when it's coming from all kinds of disciplines? And so again, for this particular kind of moment where we're translating some of these minutes into NFTs, it's a collaborative and untested approach. We're wanting to put it on auction, but we're also wanting to collaborate with a lot of other sort of art spaces in Johannesburg who are good at what they do, but they haven't entered the NFT realm. So like the artist proof studios, what does it mean for a printing studio to begin to make NFTs and to think about pushing their artists in that direction? And then, of course, Tegan Bristow and the Fak'ugesi Festival and the Tomorrow Gallery, much more sort of established digital art, contemporary art spaces are also involved in this dialogue. But for the Center for the Less Good Idea, it's a question of, we've always been a space that is interested in giving artists an alternative to the existing platforms that are not working for us, right? So we know that museums and universities are in a state of crisis. That's not just in South Africa or Southern Africa, that's globally. Really, one of the things that the pandemic has done is pushed many, many galleries and theaters and the usual kind of spaces and platforms for the arts into crisis. Does that mean artists stop making work? No. In fact, it often means the opposite. And so what are these new systems? We're still living with this kind of inherited, archaic, colonial logic, and these new kinds of understanding currency and economies, understanding the role that digital can play in cultural and vice versa. This is where we really start to feel, I think, a kind of unshackling, and where artists can potentially, as Liam has said, represent themselves and become simultaneously collectors and buyers. It's not just this kind of top veneer of the super wealthy consuming. It becomes a very different, collapsed kind of beautiful net. And I think that that's what is exciting for us, and what we started to get an inkling of in the natural momentum of something as simple as the Long Minute Project.
Amazing. And then for Letabo and Liam, for both of you, you have managed to really monetize and really grow in this space at exponential scale, globally, basically. I mean, what are some of the highlights of being an NFT artist? So that someone who's trying to enter into it can be like, okay, cool, here are some of the doors that I need to walk into, basically, to make money and generate revenue. I don't know if that makes sense.
I would say that the highlights for me, like apart from like just generally like financially, I'd say the community. Like before I joined the NFT space, I just didn't feel like I fit in the art space. And I think it's simply because of the fact that a lot of the times digital art isn't really like valued or is taken as seriously in the traditional art space at times. So like when you join this space, especially as a digital artist, I'm not saying that other artists can't join, but I'm just speaking from experience. And this space is such a welcoming space in terms of like digital artists in general. The community, like Liam had mentioned how artists are now becoming collectors are also becoming artists. So like it becomes a space where also there's so much experimentation that can happen in this space. So I think those are the highlights that I can like think of at the moment. Yeah.
Great. And for you, Liam?
Yeah, I don't want to like double down on what Letabo said, but like to pick something off different besides the community, because I think she kind of highlighted that. I've made a lot of friends that are like-minded. I mean, I can say Letabo's now a friend. Like I speak to her like sporadically and everything, and I was a really big fan of her like in the space. And you make those micro interactions with people, and that is one of the coolest things. And hearing the story, that your story is kind of the same with a lot of other people, like how she was explaining digital art not being taken serious. And like for me, I'm a digital collage artist, right? And that's how I met Shay, Shay the Surrealist. And like I was a fan of her, and then we ended up having a collaboration. Like I was a very big fan for like maybe 4 years, and then in the end thing, she's like one of my best friends in the space. So that's what I could say in the community aspect, that of course you're going to be associated with a lot of people, but at the end of the day, you're
Hi, Liam, you're muted again. Oh, there you go.
Did you catch any of that? Oh, I think
we lost
someone in the space saying muted me. I think it's okay. And what I would say is the coolest thing that a lot of artists don't think about is I talked about it in one of the Twitter spaces, like how the tables have turned, where the artist now has the power in certain situations. So I can use an example like with music. In the real world, whenever we do a piece of cover art, the musician, the royalty splits maybe are like 90-10. But in the NFT space, the splits, the art is more important than the actual sound. And that's the way I feel. And even when people try to argue me with this, is like, you can have animated videos that are selling right now with no sound behind it, but you cannot have a piece of sound with no video or no piece of art to it. So the digitalization is like, it's improved that. I feel that digital artists are getting a lot more respect. We hold a lot more weight. We have a lot more to say, and we're now in a visual space. That's the way I can see it, and a lot of us are getting respected for that. And even the collaborative opportunities are becoming increasingly better. Like, I can give an example. If I collab with Letabo, it's as simple as sending files to one another. We don't need to be in the same country. It's different of the world. Let's say we're painting on the same canvas. We'd need to be in the same place at the same time. So those are some of the beautiful things that I have found about the space, and that is very, very useful and advanced. I'm done speaking.
No, thank you so much. In the interest of time, I guess, so what are some of the platforms that people should be checking out to get their work out there in terms of distribution, but also community and stuff? Because you mentioned a lot, like community is super, super important as part of this process in the journey into the African NFT community, or into the NFT community. So what are some of the platforms that people should be checking out and looking at in terms of getting knowledge, getting peers, collaborators and stuff, just from all of you as parting words, basically, and any parting words for future NFT artists out there?
I would say get Twitter. That's where you're gonna like find the community. That's where you're gonna find friends, collaborators. Everyone is on Twitter. The NFT space, in terms of like communicating, exists on Twitter. So get Twitter, communicate with people, like engage with people, connect with people. I'd also say in terms of like now selling your work in the NFT space, look at platforms like OpenSea, look at platforms like Rareable. You can apply to certain platforms like Super Rare, your Nifty Gateway. So those are like the few platforms that you can like apply to. And yeah, and just parting words, I just say that because this space has a lot of information and a lot of things change a lot, it can get very overwhelming for a lot of artists. And I just say that, like, especially if you're like new to the space, just be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself, and remember that you're doing it for the art. And what we essentially, a lot of us are doing as artists is buying time. We're buying time so we can create more. So just be kind with yourself and like create and just focus on telling your story and figuring out how to better tell your story, or figuring out like your style. Yeah.
Thank you. Kwasi, you want to go next?
I actually wanted to ask a question.
Sorry?
I actually wanted to ask a question to Lethabo or Vintage, in one of them. You know, for example, the way the internet shut down and we have Facebook and Instagram shutting down, you know, it also shows you how fleeing this space can be. So I don't know if you know much about Infinite Object, the company Infinite Object, and the way that they distribute and sell NFTs. I wanted to ask you guys your opinion on not just owning NFTs in the soft space, but the material, like the material objects, like owning it materially with companies like Infinite Objects. What's your opinion on that?
I've actually had a one piece printed with Infinite Objects. It's really cool. It's really cool. I think just because this space is like purely like digital, doesn't really mean that we can't like still like dabble in like the physical world, and just, I mean, it's really cool to just have like a digital screen hanging at your home of like all the NFTs that you own. So you know, like, yeah, it's really cool.
Okay. Liam, yeah.
I could say if you like, I do still motion graphics, and I'll say Infinite Objects. Like, when I first heard about it, I'm actually in the process of trying to do it for like my next one-of-one, but the thing is, it just needs to be the right one when you feel it. And I think the dopest thing about it is the fact that you can have a still piece of motion. Like, imagine having a photograph on your fireplace that moves. It's like, it gives me like nostalgia of like watching Harry Potter films, or when they're like reading the newspaper and you see all that kind of stuff. So I'd say Infinite Objects, like I'm hoping something could be developed in Africa, like a little bit closer, especially like if you're living like a third world country like Zimbabwe, it would be much easier because like the hurdles of the space don't allow the average Zimbabwean, should I say, to get an opportunity to get into these type of things. So like I do think the space is, in the amount of time that it's been there, it's growing extremely fast for all these things that even for real world users, what I would say real world users are getting into.
Amazing. And then for you, Bronwyn, or you can mention your platform, but also some of the platforms that you've seen in your research that people can join into, and also any parting words.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. What the platforms Letabo mentions are the ones that that I know and that we're looking at ourselves. I think that whether it's in the digital realm or the physical realm, it's really about collaboration, and I think that the collective voice right now is more interesting than the individual voice, and it's really important that people from different disciplines find each other in the making of NFTs, and whether that's a real world making that translates into an NFT in the form of a performance film like we've been experimenting with, or whether it's a pure digital making, whether it's sound finding image and vice versa. We know that these things do really different things when they find each other, and the brain makes completely different associations when you look at them as artworks. And so there's just infinite opportunities. But if anyone was wanting to get into this space, I think to be collaborating both in the physical world and the digital world simultaneously, and incubating and generating your ideas in response to each other and in response to the context in which we live, that's going to make powerful art, whether it's NFTs or not. And, I think the NFT game is going to change when there is like solid evidence of big bodies of work and trajectories of really impressive contemporary, conceptual, philosophical work out there, and it has all the capacity for that. And that's really exciting. That's where people who currently don't understand why you would purchase a digital item would start understanding that, because it's actually no different from purchasing a sculpture or a piece of a painting. It's the same kind of joy. And it's the same sort of continual inspiration in your life. But it's also, I think, deeply political, and it really begins to shift the economic environment, which in the art world is massively skewed, and something that needs to be shifted.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for coming and engaging in this conversation and giving us some notes on the NFT space and the future of it and where we can all go to. Because I think you've really built strides in this space, and I think like Liam mentioned, we need more platforms closer to Africa and stuff that we can own and create and grow. And collaboration, now you have met each other, hopefully collaboration will come out of this, and then better understanding of the space can come out of this. But thank you so much. In the interest of time, thank you for us watching online, but thank you so much everybody, and yeah, take care.
Well, ciao.